Hi, my name is Blaze, and this is part 4 of How to Use a Tool series. In today's video, I will be showing you how to use a handsaw. The one I have right here is a Western style. The way you can tell this is first off by the shape of the teeth. Notice how one edge is pointing downwards, the other edge is going upwards. Now for the handle, it's what we call a pistol grip. You can see the outline of the pistol handle right there. There are other types of hand saws. One type that most woodworkers use for fine handcrafting, depending on their preferences, is a Japanese style. Now, I do not have a Japanese style, but I will try to explain it the best way I can. So in all simplicity, it's going to have a handle that is similar to that of a screwdriver. So just a basic circular grip like that. For the blade, on a Western style, it's angled downwards. On a Japanese style, it is a straight rectangle. And there's not only teeth on the bottom, but also on the top. And that's the basics of what it looks like. So, when you're using this handsaw, there's a couple things that you're going to want to use. One, being safety glasses. Two, being a respirator. That way you don't inhale any of the dust that will come from the wood. Now, how do we use this? So, the way you want to hold it is with your dominant hand, whichever one's your dominant hand. Grip it like a pistol like this. Some people prefer to have one or two fingers out like this to keep the blade straight. I prefer one. Now, when you're drawing back and forth, you want to keep your dominant arm moving straight back and forth. You don't want to have your elbow out like this because it's going to cause you to go straight and curved, which you don't want. You want a nice straight cut, so keep your elbow close to your body. Now, for whatever piece of wood you're using, to get a straight cut, what you're going to want to do is on the top side is mark a straight line, then flip it over and mark another straight line. The reason behind having two straight lines is so on the top you can keep a straight line, and when you're cutting down, you're just cutting down straight and you're not going crooked. Now, you can hold this in a woodworking vise or just a simple shop vise. I have a shop vise. Now, when you're clamping this in, you don't want to go too tight or too loose. Another thing you don't want to do is the line that you marked, you don't want to have the jaws of the vise coming out too close to it or too far back. If you have it too close, the blade or your hand or the handle is going to hit the vise. If you have it too far out, when you're sawing, the piece you're working on is going to make slight movements back and forth. This is what people call chatter. So, you want to have it about an inch to an inch and a half outside of the edge of your vise. Now, with a Western saw, in order to get started, you want to pull back first. You don't want to push. It's going to make this a lot harder to start cutting the piece of wood. For a Japanese style, it doesn't really matter. They're a lot more flexible in the way that they cut. So, when you start out, line up the edge of the blade with your straight line and push forward. You don't want to be putting any pressure on it, because if you put pressure, the little teeth are going to dig into the piece of wood and it's going to be a lot harder to push. So, just let the blade itself do the work. started, you shouldn't be able to see the line that you marked. The line that I marked right there is gone now. That is because I got the teeth of the blade right up next to the line. So, on the piece that I'm cutting, I want a 12-inch section. So, if I want this to be more accurate, I'm going to go on the outside of the line. That way I'm not cutting into the material that I want to keep. If I go on the inside of the line, then I'll be taking away a little more material than I wanted to, shortening the piece a little bit. So, once again I'm going to put it in the vise. And when you're cutting this, another tip is to not bring it all the way back out to the tip of the blade. This is because when you go back, if the front teeth grab, then you're going to end up bowing your blade like that, which you do not want, especially when you're putting force behind it. Another tip for when you're cutting is let the blade itself do the work. You don't want to be putting down excessive force because once again it will bite into the piece and it'll be a lot harder. So, when you're first starting to cut, like I said, go up to the edge of it to start cutting. Now, for the line that we marked down here, if you want to start it at a straight angle, you can angle the blade itself upwards just a bit. That way you're following more of the side line rather than the top line, because you already have the top line marked out and you have it cut straight. So, you just start going down maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. Now that I have about 1/2 inch down on this side, I can bring the blade back up and start cutting straight again. Now, when you take your piece out, if you want to check that it's still square and that you made a straight cut, all you got to do is take a square to both of the edges and just check if it's square. It's that simple.